let's take a look at a couple of minutes of footage to honor Michael Brown, the teenager who was shot by a policeman in Ferguson and led to the whole Black Lives Matter movement. Let's see how 9 years later they are reporting on it in the media and how this is just pure propaganda.
Happening right now, a ceremony to honor Michael Brown. He's the teenager shot and killed by a police officer after a confrontation. The shooting happened 9 years ago today. Brown's death sparked protests in Ferguson and all across the country. This is a live picture from Canfield Drive where it happened. Dozens of people have gathered to remember him. Just moments ago, they held a moment of silence for 4.5 minutes, representing the 4.5 hours Brown's body laid on the street after the shooting. The prosecutor later announced a grand jury had ruled the shooting was justified. Charges were never filed against the officer involved.
Welcome back to the 9 a.m. Today marks the 9th year since the passing of Michael Brown Jr. And this tragic incident was sparked an uproar not only in Ferguson but across our nation for change against police brutality and injustice faced by African Americans.
Today marks 9 years since the death of Michael Brown in Ferguson.
The metro area is honoring his life today with 2 memorial events, and our Sydney Stallworth is live in Clayton with today's tributes. Good morning, Sydney.
Good morning, Michelle, Rennie. On August 9, 2014, Michael Brown was shot and killed in the streets of Ferguson following a confrontation with a Ferguson police officer. Now, his death sparked outrage in this community and far beyond, leading to demonstrations and calls for police reform nationwide. And in just a couple of hours, our community is going to honor Brown's life and legacy. Now, organizers for these events in his honor are acknowledging that this painful moment of our past can hopefully usher in a new future for our community. The first tribute will be held on Canfield Drive in Ferguson, where Michael Brown was shot and killed. A 4.5 minute of silence will be held there at 11:15 a.m. to remember the 4.5 hours his body laid in the street.
You'll notice the word confrontation in the last event, and throughout, Michael Brown is painted as a very sympathetic figure, that either way the blame for the shooting could go to either party, or it was just Michael Brown being an innocent Black man in America and getting unjust desserts. Here's the reality. You have Kamala Harris calling it a murder, despite the fact that the Obama Justice Administration, which was doing everything that they could to pin this firmly on the officer who was assaulted by Michael Brown after being called in because Michael Brown strong-armed a clerk at a local convenience store and was then assaulted, and Michael Brown tried to pull his gun. This was verified by, again, the Justice Administration of Barack Obama, because Michael Brown's DNA was found all over Darren Wilson, the gun, etc. I think that it got there because he reached into the car, and all of the eyewitness accounts, hands up, don't shoot, was proven to be false. And then years later, they tried to again investigate it and again try to pin this on the officer. And they just, even the leftist district attorney in Ferguson could not do it, despite the public outcry for quote unquote justice. But again, you go back to the media, the word confrontation, and how sympathetic they make this thug appear. This is the narrative that they are trying to use in order to continue to divide our country along racial lines, along grievances.
Race matters, and we need to say so.
And this is what is so insidious, because for the average person who doesn't pay attention, this is the narrative that they hear over and over, and they are hypnotized into believing the events were 50-50 and he was just an innocent Black man that got shot, rather than a thug who assaulted a police officer and was trying to take his gun in order to shoot him. And you realize how the media is truly, as Donald Trump said, the enemy of the people. They are reporting a narrative. They are trying to stir and inflame, at the best case scenario, the resentment amongst their viewers so that they gain more viewership because there's a strong emotion attached to watching. And these are the people that stand for justice. But it is lies. They are untruths, as once again demonstrated by the Obama Justice Administration. This is evil and divisive for Americans. We should not be honoring the criminals and the thugs and the memories of them, like George Floyd. Not a nice guy, but he is Saint Floyd to the left because they are using him as an avatar to prosecute the decent people of our country. Forget about the fact that he held a gun to the stomach of a pregnant woman during an armed robbery and house invasion. Forget about all the other crimes that he achieved during his life. Forget about the fact that he was in and out of jail and he was on a highball and couldn't breathe before he was taken out of the car. They are using these criminal thugs and the memories of them in order to prosecute America as a whole. And this is the Marxism that is embedded into the media and is being used as a weapon by the Democrats in order to earn the votes and to keep the Black population away from the decent people of this country. They are trying to make the police out to be evil so that they can destroy and take more of the spoils that America offers in terms of the money printing. When they print all that money and they get to spend it first and they throw a few shillings out to the population at large, which after the inflated prices from the spending, which is called the Cantillon effect, where people get the money before others and are able to spend it while it still has value. And then those at the bottom receive a few shekels, and they're lucky enough to have the United States money printer to be able to have that. And then they spend the money and realize how little it does for their lives. This is, again, an evil media that deserves utter criticism, and they are infiltrated by a Marxist sentiment that is seeping through our nation. And it must be decried, and it must be brought to the forefront of people's minds. So please share this video with your friends so that they can see this actually taking place. Peace.